was going in very skeptical. I was going in with a lot of the other creators' informations, the current sponsored versus non-sponsored situation going on online. And I want to just real quick throw this hat into that ring because this is a non-sponsored video. And I want to say, considering that this game is kind of focused on a younger audience from what I could tell, I would say it was kind of leaning into the high school demographic, and then was being represented and portrayed in a way that was also good for younger audience to play. The sandbox element made a lot of it feel not violent in any regard. None of it ever felt violent. Like, the entire game felt cheerful, happy. The way that they explained the technology, it was good. I don't have any complaints in that regard. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an E for everyone, in my opinion. Maybe T for teen, because of some of the ragdoll physics or something, or the fighting mechanic. I know there's like a throwdown system in it. I don't know if that's fighting. I know there's like a boxing emote, but as of right now, I don't think that there should be anything that would push this game into an M rating or anything like that. So take that into account. I want to also real quick touch on a very important topic that a lot of people have brought up, is the loot box system. There is no loot box system from what I could tell. It's just like a spend this in-game currency or real currency and you'll get one set out of this entire set. And then once you get that item, it's removed from the set. So if you purchase it again, your odds of getting the one that you want are increased until the set is complete. Now, as long as the odds don't, reach something absurd, or the way you achieve that can't be done with in-game currency at an efficient rate, as long as there's no reason for us to be spending money where it's unnecessary, and they provide us cosmetics and they provide us things for a price, and we are buying things and we know what we are getting, I will not have an issue with that, especially for a free-to-play game. I think the roulette and the gambling is the core of the issue, and as long as EA stays away from that, my opinion will stay the same, that I'm pro everything that they're doing. I think it's just consumerism at its finest. Produce a game, have in-game stuff, release it to the market, let people play it, let people buy stuff that they like. That ultimately feeds back to the game's value. And then if it's a live service model, it means that they can expand upon the game in the future. Honestly, it's a good system. The tricks and everything feel pretty good. I do think that it's a very incomplete Trickopedia in their context of phrasing, and it could do with some refinement. I think they're missing out on things like dolphin flip, forward flip, feather flip, alpha flip, beta flip. A lot of pressure tricks could probably also get implemented with a little bit more creativity. There seems to be a lacking of grab and grab flip out tricks and things like that. So to be able to grab the board and then do a hand flip or a body burial 180 or something like that doesn't seem to be implemented yet. So we're not only losing a bunch of tricks currently as of this alpha, in regards to the missing tricks, as it were, but also we're missing a lot of tricks in the vert category. As of right now, I have not landed any handplants, Andrex, or anything like that, so I have no idea if those are in the game. I really hope that they are. If that system's to be expected, I hope that it comes out soon, because doing things like kickflip the disasters and systems that would make the animations look really good when doing it would definitely play into this game's favor, because the animations right now look really good. I can say I have a clip of me doing a kickflip backside hurricane, and it was just on like a regular bench ledge, and it looks buttery. I wish I could. It's not that impressive anyways, so I want to get into a few of the other nuanced things that I noticed with the game. And right out of the bat, I really want to talk about the power slides, because not only is power sliding around corners really, really nice, but it seems like they have a pretty good system that they could go ahead and start adding on to. I would also consider looking into how gyrometers could be implemented into the game, so that way certain things like a 97 sounds different and rides different than a 99, a 101 or a 103, how hard you impact the ground, the rebound of the board, and things like that. I feel like those kinds of things could actually be implemented into the game. And when it comes to the manuals and being able to power slide with a manual, this obviously opens up the game for more drastic game modes that obviously I'm not allowed to talk about the game modes that they have. So this is clearly going to be a game mode that they're either going to implement one day, or I'm just spitballing that needs to exist. So the manuals, the power slides, the manual power slides, the death slides, the blunt road slides, all of those can be implemented. Downhill has a very, very, very in-depth history in skateboarding that could totally be pulled from and worked into this new skate game, including the designs on the skateboards, including like the board designs could all easily be implemented, and there could easily be a very, very, very fun downhill mode in skate one day, if they take these things into consideration and make the game more fun than what it is. Because as of right now, I'm telling you, y'all need work, because as fun as it is, like, it's skateboarding, it's repetition, it's the same thing over and over again. You can only change it up so many times. You know, I can only do so many hippie jumps, I can only do so many kick flips, I can only do so many tray flips down a stair set, I can only do so many Christ stair back flips, I can only do so many mega ramps before I'm like, oh, like, give me something else, give me a new park. And yeah, that kind of comes into like the game modes, like the bale system, the Hall of Meat system, as it were. I don't mind it so much. I think it definitely has a place in Skate Legacy, but man, like, you guys really need to be putting more focus on like jams, for one, like getting a group of people online for jams, just like a 16 competitor jam session, get the highest score, whatever. I know that you can cheat and make your score crazy high, but god, that needs work. But I love the late flip system, I will say that. I do love the late flip system. However, I really wish I could do Casper catches and dark slides and stuff like that. So if I could kick flip, Casper catch, hospital flip out, that would be like another one of those very creative and dynamic tricks that the game is currently lacking, which needs to be explored further, because it would expand the trick ratio expansively if I could do Caspers, primos, Casper flips out, dark stalls, dark lip stalls, you know, that kind of stuff. So I would definitely say dark catches, all of that stuff need refinement and placement in the game. So if it doesn't have a spot yet, it needs a spot now. Street plants is another one. Like bonelesses are in the game, you know, Benihanas are in the game, stuff like that. But there's no like, I can grab my board on the ground and then tuck and roll. So you have to like lose the skateboard when you roll. I would refine the parkour system and integrate it so that way it works fundamentally with the skateboarding seamlessly. So if I'm running without my skateboard, I jump in the air, hold RT to do a front flip. I should be able to end my front flip and not have to call my board to me, but already have the board and just caveman directly onto my board. Little things like that are like, it's weird that they don't already have that, but it is what it is. And yeah, just little stuff like the rail balancing, like wire walking is another one. Like, why isn't there wire walking? Like, you could be connecting these buildings in completely different ways that you're just completely ignoring. Look at like Assassin's Creed. Like, if you want us climbing the walls, you need to make it as fun as possible. You need to make that as fun as and interesting as possible. So look at Mountain Climbers. Look at some of the really interesting jumps and maneuvers that they do, and introduce those mechanics into the game. Make it more fun and interesting and heart, you know, racing when we are doing those types of things. Because as it stands, like, I'm not doing backflips and back tucks off of walls and then landing on a wire and then running across a rooftop and then cavemaning into a roof bowl and then acid dropping, and because none of that is possible. You don't have a very good acid drop system. You don't have a very good bank drop system. These are all real things that you need to actually do as a skateboarder. Like if you're gonna roll up to a ramp, yes, rolling in is a thing, absolutely, but you can also snap and mid ollie and then acid drop. That's a real thing. You ollie from a distance and then you press your legs into the radial of the ramp to gain speed. You pump the ramp, you acid it. It's the same thing with bank drop. You pressure the bank so that way when you air, you aim yourself into it. You aim up and then down into it. These are real things that like you have to kind of fake to get the aesthetic in the game that should already be kind of implemented, especially if you're gonna have spines in the game. You know, being able to do a backside grab, mute grab over this and then into another spine, that needs to look very good. That needs to be a seamless transition where your speed isn't heavily affected, where right now the best way to get over anything is to kind of stall and then push the analog stick and kind of ollie into it, or hope that you drop into it, which is still sometimes awkward because you end up like power sliding, because like the buffer on the power slides on transition is awkward, and getting up like into 5-0s and stuff like that, like if you just wanted the slash around a corner, you kind of have to like power slide into a manual and then you get onto it, and you have to make sure that you are going fast enough that these 3 actions aren't going to like clip you awkwardly and make you slowly slide around the edge. Where like in real life, obviously you would pump that transition when you're coming around it. You would go up into it at like a 45, get your trucks onto it, and then you would press your bushing down. You would lock your wheel into the actual coping itself and pump your weight through it, where your chest would then become the center inertial point where it's being twisted around. It's really difficult to explain. There's a lot of physics involved. But when those types of things aren't being taken into consideration and a real skateboarder steps up to your game, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do a 5-0 slash around this and then come up and hit this hip, and the game doesn't allow you to get the speed for that, and you have to like air it really awkwardly and it doesn't feel right, then the game doesn't feel like you're playing a skateboarding game anymore, and it kind of takes you out of it for a minute, and you're like, oh, some of these mechanics aren't implemented right, or they really need refinement because this crucial technique in skateboarding has been ignored. I don't know if it's being ignored. It could be implemented better later, or maybe the timings just need to be better set so that it all occurs within better timing, and maybe some of the speed accelerations on the corners and things like that need to be adjusted. I will say that Sandban feels really good to explore, but ultimately I would say it's too small. If this is Tutorial Island, thank God. I hope the map is so much larger, but like I don't think enough people are being critical on the scale of the map, and they're using the excuse of verticality of the world to be like, it's big, look at the verticality, you're gonna jump from rooftop to rooftop, and then you have this subfloor and this other subfloor. But like what it really does is you create these tunnel situations where everything is a road leading to another area, and you're just constantly being like kind of worked around the map, up and down and up and down in all these different areas, and you get to the street, and then you go to the skate park, and then you go up the skate park, and you're on the highway, and then you exit the highway and you're in a parking lot. I mean, I get it, but like some of the skate parks are just completely like, you walk up to it or you climb up the building and you're just like, bro, that was totally not worth it. Like you get there, you're like, you skate it for 5 minutes, and you're like, dude, it took me longer to get to the park than it did for me to actually skate the park and it be like worth my time. And I know you guys are calling them like rooftop spots. They're not. They're little niche skate parks. Like I can tell, like a lot of them pull inspiration from real world locations. Like there's the Love Park sand van version, there's the Wallenberg sand van version, there's the Cardiel, I want to say Rome rail, but it's not the Rome rail, it was the Gladiator rail, the gold rail that he grinded. There's that one. There's like all these copycat locations throughout Sandban. And here's my criticism: do more homework, do more research. Like, to literally just look at the surface layer of skateboarding and be like, yeah, that's enough, is not enough. It is not enough at all. To not even know what a bear trap is, first of all, in the game, ridiculous. To not refer to multiple objectives throughout the game that are bear traps as bear traps is kind of ridiculous. But, like, ultimately, you end up seeing a lot of the same style of skateboarding everywhere. It's a lot of huck here, rails here, quarter pipes here, bowls here, snake pit here, snake pit plus park plus rails plus staircases. Like, it's all very corporate city structure elevation setting mode. Here's my concluding opinion here. There's like this broken bridge that exits the city, right? Get rid of the bridge, delete it. We don't need it. I think it's a San Francisco reference, or maybe it's a New York reference. It might be the bridge that in Manhattan to that little island. I'm not sure what they're referencing here. I'm guessing it's got to be like a little island off of California or something that they're referencing. But yeah, they need a university district. First of all, reference Skate 2, build a massive university district. That is not like hardcore skate park focused. Just build a district that is university focused, that is a big university. Then make a sewer area. Every skate park needs a sewer area. Every city needs a sewer area. I mean, I've seen some like sewer areas, but like, expand that. I've been to the FDR Burnside Park in the game. That's pretty cool. Do more of that. Look at famous skate parks and then just and make hybridizations of all of the skate parks that you can find. Look at Barcelona. Look at, I mean, they did look at Barcelona. That's pretty much what Skate 2 felt like. But when we talk about skateboarding and skateboarding culture, it is not just the fat milk on top. You need to go deeper. You need to look at the nutrition that is underneath. We need the planter gaps. We need the grass gaps. Like, we need the early 2000s, but we also need the modern. You're missing the early 2000s. You're focused on these awkward big playground things when a lot of people are like, where's the suburban area? Where's the university district? Where's just like the slappy skate park? Like, where's the skate park? Because although there's skate parks, none of them are skate parks. You know what I mean? They're not like, this is like a skate park. You know what I mean? It's like you want us to talk about this city being a skate city, and it's something that I've believed in my heart, and a lot of other skateboarders have believed in their heart. But here's something that we also follow that up with. Making the world your skate park is literal in the context of be creative and make the world your skate park. I feel like a lot of the freedoms are being restricted. Not having some leverage of freestyle in this small city makes a lot of these small spaces feel like I need to do larger tricks in them. But trying to do larger tricks in them becomes difficult because they're small spaces. And especially when you have some of these parking garage areas or these parking lot areas, get rid of the cars. They're fucking annoying. Excuse my language, but they're really, really annoying. Like, there's a parking lot, and I can't say too much, but like, you have to go to this parking lot and you have to put objects down and then skate them, right? So in a game with a server that is full of people doing missions, you go to this area and it's always littered with props, right? So then there's always people there skating these props trying to do the mission. So a lot of people congregate in this little parking lot spot, and it's loaded with cars, and you just get like that pull-in section, and that's your entire area. And yes, it is big enough, but it is not big enough. And like, if you're gonna add things like slappies, you need to make it viable. And yes, you could just do slappies in the road. This isn't necessarily a complaint. It's more of like, when you design the skate park, get rid of the cars in the parking lot, because you know people are going to be in the skate park. If they're all going to be hanging out at the skate park, you make that a social joint. If you make that a social joint, that's where the music should be playing. There should be a social system. There should be things around you talking about the social system. But as it stands, the skate parks are bland. They don't feel like they actually have a live-in. A lot of the NPCs are kind of backpacking a lot of the energy of the game, where we as the players should be kind of doing that work. Listen, I'll just cut to the chase. I'll break it all down as much as I can for you. Number one, the grab flips system needs to be added to the game. Number two, the late flip system's pretty darn good. Expand it a little bit further. Number three, catching the board upside down, Casper catches, pogos, truck stands. Figure it out. Do it, because it's going to make the game way more interesting in the long run. Number whatever we're on, Sand Van is too small. You need to expand Sand Van significantly more. Stop focusing on the verticality. I would cut that off with where you are now and start doing a university district, a suburban district, or, you know, like a urban district. And then I would also play around with the idea of a long stretch of highway that also takes you to maybe some barn areas and some more off the beaten path kind of stuff, because exploring that, especially with the popularity of that kind of stuff today, with the rise of specifically skate nomadism, playing into that would be a very good idea. So ultimately, Sand Van just feels way too small. And then of course we have the climbing system. Expand it. It doesn't feel refined enough. I'm guessing a lot of these things the team's already well aware of, but yeah. I would also recommend to the team that this world that you're crafting does not need to feel like a skate park literally everywhere you go. Sometimes I just want to skate a loading dock, and also having ledges in locations that don't feel naturally occurring doesn't feel right. So a lot of your alleyways need to be refined and things like that. The city feels like it was purpose built for skateboarding, and that is fine, but again, that is something that is like dreams and such. And again, this is a video game, you could do whatever you want, but if you're going to have a verticality system that segregates these things fundamentally, then you need to actually apply them. If the high up stuff is going to be the insane mega ramp stuff, with the mid tier being your large drops and things like that, your insane hucks, your low level should be focused on being realism and having accurate lighting and accurate systems for people who want to focus on that. And you need to expand on all three levels of these things for the world to constantly feel like it's worth staying in. As of right now, the verticality system and the scale of the world is far too small for any of this to be viable at all on a launch day. You can pack as many missions as you want into this world. You can shove as much as you want into it. People are going to feel like it's redundant, boring, and rehashed every single time you do it. It's the same issue with Riders Republic. Once you beat the game, ultimately, even if they add new content, you don't feel it's necessary to go back to it, which is why that team has to focus on new sports. But skate is going to be focused on one singular sport. And with that kind of stuff in context, you need to take into consideration the scale of which you're working with, and giving the players the resources to have custom parks and custom things loadable that they can share with their friends. Without that, the social aspect of this game is going to fall short. There is no matchmaking system. There is no way for me to just have a fun jam session with people. There are a lot of implications with that break down the social system and will break down the morale of the players trying to enjoy this game. As the rise of people who are playing this game and the competitive nature of these missions get higher, there are going to be a lot of cheaters and people using specific things to break the dynamics of the game down and make it work into their favor. So leadership and things like that in this game are not going to be something that's going to be a long-term viable status for this game to cling to. Things like Riders Republic link to things like time attack missions and ghost missions because it works for them, but a lot of these systems are not going to work in the long run for Skate without proper implementation of different game modes that are going to actually play into the favor of the game's mechanics. Currently, the game modes do not do that, and just expecting people to do the line system, where you're essentially playing a cross of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Search and Destroy, where if you fall you have to try all over again, is not going to be a long-term viable system. You need different systems in order for this game to work. If you look at your previous games, you'll see that the death races and things like that worked. Re-implementing them and making the map larger, first of all, is going to do a lot for the long-term viability of this game and give you far more freedom in a sandbox to do your missions. Making the missions extremely spread out in a larger map would be better in terms of exploration and community. And the fact that we can't even tag up walls and do things to mark up the world or switch the music in playing areas to play the park as a community within a group of friends is bad. You need to play into the social favorability of skateboarding. You need to look at the dynamic of skateboarding, and you need to play into that in this game. Just making gigantic huck missions is not going to work. You need to play into vert. There is not enough verticality in this game at all in terms of playing around with the ramps. Just launching yourself off of launch ramps is fun, sure, but how many times can I do a hextuple flip to a Frigidaire? It's not going to be that interesting every single time. And you can make 1,000 ramps, but the difference is the only thing changing is the scenery in the context of these game modes. The scenery is dependent of the same exact contextual mission that we're doing over and over and over again. Where in skateboarding, we pride ourselves on the creativity of the challenges that we put ourselves through. You as developers need to recognize that we want those challenges and they need to be respected and properly implemented into the game. Just from one skateboarder to many others, I would support this game, and I would look at this game as a game with extreme possibilities. Fundamentally, I think that this game could be the extreme sports if the team decided to add other sports into the game. Skate could fundamentally lead the way for scooter games, inline games, BMX games with its system and its physics and the team that they currently have. But it just feels like they are holding back too much. This game might release in a state that I feel will be too reserved from its potential. But it's still extremely fun, and since it's going to be a free-to-play game, I would definitely throw what's worth it to you at it. And it'll definitely be a game that I'll come back to time and time again, because there will be new things to the world worth doing in it. And I'll definitely be seeing videos of other people doing interesting stuff within the game, and that will lead me to want to re-experience Skate 4, or Skate as they're preferring to call it, over and over again. But ultimately, the island that they've put themselves on is exactly that, an island. They should have given themselves an entire continent to work with, where they can expand north, south, and east and west, and play into the favorability of sharing things like famous skate parks, famous skate spots, and famous others to this space. If you guys agree with this video, let me know. If you think EA needs to see this video, make sure they do. And that's the end of my criticism of Skate as it is a release version alpha. So make sure you're taking that into consideration when you're watching this video, the date that I released this video. Have a great one, guys. It's been a minute since I've seen you guys, so I'll just end this video with a real quick update of what's going on. So I built a twin PC setup to do my recording and streaming that is still in the works. It's almost done. The current system was tested. I was able to stream with the configuration that I was going to use. All I need to do is finalize it by getting an upgraded CPU and motherboard for my living room setup, which is across from me, directly in front of me. And then that will become the unit that will become my streaming PC and my editing rig. And it'll, I have a NAS now that stores my recordings. And then from there, I will be moving on to purchasing an actual camera, purchasing a system where I can travel. I'm going to be downsizing my studio into a laptop and be able to actually work on the content that I've dreamed of making for a very long time. So thank you to everybody who's new and subscribed. I hope this video was well informed and was informative to you. Have a great one, guys. Go skate. Skate or die.